On the fateful evening of April 14th, 1865, in the heart of Washington, D.C., Abraham Lincoln found himself engrossed in a play at Ford's Theater. The president's box, perched on the balcony level, afforded him an unobstructed view of the stage. However, an ominous presence loomed as John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, clandestinely infiltrated the theater's backstage. Here, a critical lapse in security became evident. John F. Parker, Lincoln bodyguard, had been granted leave under the false assumption of a negligible threat. Seizing the opportunity, Booth stealthily closed in on Lincoln from behind, unleashing a single fatal shot into the back of the president's head, severing his spinal cord. The thunderous report of the gunshot shattered the calm of theater, plunging the audience into chaos and terror. In a surreal sequence of events, Booth vaulted from the president's box to the stage floor, proclaiming the ominous Latin phrase, "Six semper tyrannists, thus always to tyrants." With a swift and nimble escape through a concealed side door, Booth vanished into the obscurity of the night, leaving behind a nation. In the dim hours of August 6, 1945, a lone American bomber departed from the remote island of Tinian, embarking on a fateful mission towards the vibrant city of Hiroshima. As the aircraft reached its destination, the pilot unleashed the devastating atomic bomb, a weapon destined to reshape history. The bomb's detonation unfurled an unimaginable cataclysm where the very essence of human flesh dissolved like melting butter van, finishing 70,000 lives in an instant. The city's structures crumbled like fragile sand castles, and flames raged like an inferno. Astonishingly, the Japanese resilience endured, leading to a second tragic chapter just 3 days later, when another atomic bomb fell upon Nagasaki, claiming another 40,000 lives in a heartbeat. It was a relentless cascade of devastation, leaving Japan with no choice but to accept defeat. Andrew Jackson was a president of the United States. He had a bird that could talk, but it only said bad words. The bird was so rude that it had to leave the president's funeral because it was making too much noise. Henry VI was a king of England. He had many wives, but he also wanted to show off his manhood. He wore a special thing on his pants that made it look like he had a big bulge. He thought that would make him more cool and powerful. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, but he never called his wife or his mother with it. That's because they could not hear anything. They were deaf. Maybe he should have invented something else for them. Stephen Hawking was a smart scientist. He studied time and space. He had a funny idea. He threw a party for people who could travel in time, but he did not tell anyone until after the party was over. He hoped that some people would show up from the future, but no one did. It was the loneliest party ever. Some US presidents did crazy and weird things. Teddy Roosevelt was the 26th president. He used to be the cowboy, a police boss, and a war hero. Once someone tried to kill him with a gun, but he did not stop talking for 84 minutes. He was very brave. Andrew Jackson was the 7th president. He fought in many duels with guns or swords. He did this to protect his wife, Rachel. He got hurt many times. He had a bullet in his chest and one in his arm. Ben Harrison was the 23rd president. He was the first to have electric lights in the White House, but he was very scared of them. He never turned them on or off by himself. Franklin Pierce was the 14th president. He got in trouble while he was president. He hit an old woman with his horse. The police arrested him, but they let him go because they had no proof. He was good at running the country, but bad at running a horse. Light up. Some people were so brave and strong that they changed the world with their actions. Here are some of them. Harold Hardrada was a Viking who loved to fight and explore. He wanted to be the king of England, so he sailed there with a huge army of 10,000 men and 300 ships. He fought hard, but he was killed in a big battle. Queen Boudica was a woman who hated the Romans. They had taken over her land and hurt her family. She gathered a large army of people who also hated the Romans and attacked their cities. She burned down 3 cities and killed many Romans, but she could not defeat them all. Emperor Trajan was a Roman who was very good at ruling. He made the Roman Empire bigger than ever before, and he also cared about the people. He built many roads, bridges, temples, and baths. He also helped the poor and the sick. He was called the best ruler by the people. Alexander the Great was a young man who wanted to conquer the world. He was a great leader and a smart fighter. He led his army from Greece to many different lands such as Egypt, Persia, and India. He won every battle he fought, and he made a huge empire. He died when he was only 32 years old. Some people who were very smart also did some strange things. Galileo Galilei was a scientist who studied the stars and planets. He said that the Earth goes around the sun, but the church did not like that. They made him say sorry and stay in his house for the rest of his life. Sigmund Freud was a doctor who tried to understand how people think and feel. He liked to smoke a lot of cigars every day. He said that cigars are not always important, but maybe he smoked them because he liked to put things in his mouth. Marie Curie was a scientist who discovered new things about atoms. She also helped people who were hurt in the war. She made machines that could see inside people's bodies with X-rays. She called them little Curies. Werner von Braun was a scientist who made rockets that could fly very far. He worked for Germany in the war and made rockets that hurt many people. After the war, he went to the US and helped them go to the moon. Did you know that in ancient Greece, some people believed that sneezing was a sign from the gods? Sneezing was thought to be a way for the gods to communicate with humans, and different types of sneezes meant different things. For example, a sneeze during a speech meant that the speaker was telling the truth, and a sneeze before a journey meant that it would be successful. Did you know that in ancient Rome, some people use urine as a mouthwash? Urine contains ammonia, which is a chemical that can kill bacteria, area, and whiten teeth. Some Romans collected urine from public toilets and sold it as a dental product. They also used urine to clean clothes, dye hair, and make leather. Did you know that in ancient Maya, some people shaped their heads into cones? They did this by tying boards to their babies' heads to make them grow in a certain way. They thought that having a cone-shaped head was beautiful and noble, and that it made them look like the gods. Did you know that in ancient Egypt, people shaved their eyebrows? When their cats died, cats were very important to the Egyptians, and they showed their sadness by cutting off their hair. They also mummified their cats and buried them with food and toys. Did you know that in ancient China, some people drank mercury to try to live forever? Mercury is a shiny liquid metal that looks like silver, but it is very poisonous and can make you sick or even kill you. Some emperors and nobles thought that mercury was a magical substance that could make them immortal, but they were wrong. Did you know that in medieval Europe, some people wore fake teeth made of animal bones, ivory, or even human teeth? Dental hygiene was not very good back then, and many people lost their teeth due to disease or injury. To replace their missing teeth, they used teeth from animals, like cows, horses, or dogs, or from other people who had died or sold their teeth. You said you loved me, you said you cared, you made me happy, you made me dare to open my heart, to share my soul, to trust in you, to make me whole. Did you know that in ancient Japan, some people practiced a ritual called seppuku or harakiri? This was a way of killing oneself by cutting open one's belly with a sword. Some samurai warriors and nobles did this to avoid being captured or dishonored by their enemies. They believed that this was a brave and honorable way to die. Did you know that in ancient Mesopotamia, some people used clay tablets as books? Clay tablets are pieces of clay that can be written on with a style which is a sharp tool. The writing on clay tablets is called cuneiform, which means wedge shape. Some clay tablets have stories, poems, laws, and even recipes on them. Did you know that in ancient Peru, some people made mummies of their dead relatives? Mummies are bodies that have been preserved from decay by drying or wrapping them. Some Peruvians kept their mummies in their homes and treated them as if they were still alive. They gave them food, clothes, and gifts, and even took them to festivals and ceremonies. But then you left me. You said goodbye. You broke my heart. You made me cry, you took away the light you gave, you left me lonely, you left me grave. Did you know that in ancient Scandinavia, some people believed in a giant wolf called Fenrir? Fenrir was the son of Loki, the god of mischief, and he was so big and fierce that no one could control him. The gods tried to chain him up, but he broke every chain they made. They finally tricked him into biting a magic ribbon that was actually made of things like the sound of a cat's footstep and the breath of a fish. The ribbon was so strong that it held Fenrir until the end of the world. Did you know that in ancient Egypt, people used crocodile poop as a form of birth control? Crocodile poop is very sticky and can block the entrance to the uterus. Some women inserted it into their vaginas before having sex to prevent pregnancy. You know that in ancient Greece, some people believed that eating beans was a sin? Beans were thought to contain the souls of the dead, and eating them was considered a form of cannibalism. Some people also avoid beans because they made them fart, which was seen as rude and impolite. Walked away. You didn't care. You left me here. You weren't fair. Now I'm broken. I don't know how to heal. You walked away. You didn't care how I feel. Leaving me is okay. I've seen it before. People leave me all the time. They walk out the door. I'm used to it. I've learned to cope. I don't expect much. I don't have hope. Did you know that in medieval Europe, some people wore fake moles on their faces as a fashion statement? Fake moles were called mouches, which means flies in French. They were made of velvet, silk, or leather and stuck to the skin with glue or gum. They were used to cover up blemishes, scars, or wrinkles, or to draw attention to certain features. Did you know that in ancient China, some people drank tea made of panda poop? Panda poop is rich in fiber and nutrients, and some people believe that had health benefits. They also thought that it could cure diseases, improve digestion, and make them live longer. Did you know that in ancient Maya, some people drilled holes in their teeth and filled them with jewels? They did this to decorate their teeth and show their wealth and status. They used jade, turquoise, gold, or pyrite and attached them to their teeth with resin or cement. Did you know that in ancient Mesopotamia, some people used honey as a form of glue? Honey is very sticky and can bond things together. Some Mesopotamians used honey to seal clay, tablets attached to statues, or fix broken pottery. They also used honey as a sweetener, a medicine, and a preservative. Did you know the most important thing in life is to have someone who believes in you, who cheers you on, and who gives you the strength to face any challenge? But even more than that, you need someone who will stand by your side, who will support you, and who will join you in the trenches if things fall apart. 4 friends you need in life. 1, someone who challenges you to grow even when it's hard. 2, someone who shares your joys and sorrows and stands by your side. 3, someone who respects your privacy and trusts your choices. 4, someone who accepts you as you are and shows you kindness. Did you know that in ancient Peru, some people played a game called plachli, or ball game? This was a game where 2 teams tried to score points by hitting a rubber ball through a stone ring. The ball was very heavy and hard, and the players could only use their hips, knees, or elbows to hit it. The game was very violent and sometimes resulted in injuries or death. Did you know that in ancient Scandinavia, some people believed in a giant serpent called Jormungandr, or the world serpent? Jormungandr was the son of Loki, the god of mischief, and he was so big that he encircled the whole world in the ocean. He was the enemy of Thor, the god of thunder, and they fought many times. They were destined to kill each other at the end of their world. I prayed for strength, and God gave me challenges to face. I prayed for wisdom, and God gave me puzzles to solve. I prayed for courage, and God gave me obstacles to overcome. I prayed for love, and God gave me people in need to serve. My prayers were not ignored, they were fulfilled. I sought strength, and God sent me trials to endure. I sought wisdom, and God sent me questions to answer. I sought courage, and God sent me fears to conquer. I sought love, and God sent me hearts to heal. My prayers were not denied, they were granted. Did you know that in ancient Egypt, some people played a game called Senet, or the game of passing? This was a game where 2 players moved their pieces along a board of 30 squares according to the roll of dice or sticks. The game was a symbol of the journey of the soul to the afterlife, and the players had to avoid landing on squares that represented obstacles or dangers. The game was very popular and sometimes buried with the dead. Did you know that in ancient China, some people believed in a giant turtle called Ao, or the Great Turtle? Ao was the son of Pangu, the creator of the world, and he carried the world on his back. He was the friend of Yu, the founder of the Xia dynasty, and he helped him control the flutes. He was also the enemy of Gong Gong, the god of water, and they fought many times. They were destined to cause a great catastrophe at the end of the war. Did you know that in ancient Greek mythology there was a giant boar named Caledonian who was sent by Artemis, the goddess of hunting? Caledonian was so fierce that no one could hunt him except for a group of heroes led by Meleager, the prince of Caledon. The heroes chased the boar for days and finally killed him, but they also quarreled over who deserved the trophy. In the process, Caledonian caused a civil war that killed Meleager and many others. Did you know that in ancient India, some people played a game called Chaturanga, or the 4 division? This was a game where 4 players controlled 4 armies of pieces on a board of 64 squares according to the roll of dice. The game was a simulation of a battle, and the players had to cooperate or compete with each other to capture the enemy king. The game was very complex and sometimes used as a way of divination. You are very smart, but sometimes also stupid too. You have a brilliant mind, but occasionally a dull one too. You are a genius in some ways, but a fool in others. You possess a high intelligence, but also a low common sense. You are very clever, but sometimes also silly too. You have a sharp wit, but occasionally a blunt one too. You are a master of some things, but a novice of others. You display a great wisdom, but also a great folly. You are very savvy, but sometimes also naive, too. You have a keen insight, but occasionally a blind spot, too. You are the prodigy in some fields, but a dunce in others.